Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today have I got quite the build for you. Now, if you've watched any of my build videos before, then hopefully you're aware that I don't sensationalize my builds, at least, as much as I can. I don't say something is super good if it's not, and if I say it's, more unique than meta, that's what I mean. And I mean this fully when I say that this build changes the game in Countdown. I don't want to say it trivializes the experience, but it makes it so much easier than what I think is intended that it's kind of insane. And so, also the first thing I want to clarify before we get further into this is that in the title, when I say that this is for solo players, I don't mean that this is going to allow you to solo Countdown. Obviously, I do think this build would help with that, but soloing an 8-player experience takes a lot more than just your build. It takes a lot of own player skill and coordination, and so obviously, that's going to be its own deal. What I do believe this will allow you to do is be completely self-sufficient and self-sustaining within the mode itself. You aren't going to need to rely on your team, you aren't going to need to, coordinate and run team buffs, anything like that. This build is going to allow you to do a lot, and I really think you guys are going to be surprised when you see the results here. So, to start off, I'm in Countdown by myself just to give you a few examples. This build I'm running is not the build I'm going to show you. This is my usual one that I ran for PvE before TU15, right? So I have 3 blues. You may have seen me run this before, right? It's my go-to in like Heroic Summit. It works in there. It's got 3 blues, decent survivability, not the best. But let me just show you an example of how quickly you get shredded even with 1.3 million armor. I'm going to approach the Hunter over here first and show you that, and then we're going to jump into one of the little objectives, and you'll see that. 1 bullet, already have my armor from that sniper. I'll let him hit me again a little bit. So 2-3 shots, I'm already going to be dead, right? So now, let's just go in here, and you'll see. So that was a Hunter. Obviously, they're very, souped up. They've got a lot of damage, a lot of armor, all that stuff. Now, if I face some regular ads, let's see how that looks. Because, again, this is intended for 8 players, so, of course, the difficulty is higher than, I think Heroic is probably fair to say, at least in terms of how tanky they are. Let's give this a run just for a second, see how it feels. Get my bonus up. Getting hit pretty hard. I'm doing some decent damage, though, It's going to take a little while. Even though I've got the Chameleon and True Patriot, I still got to watch what I'm doing. Find some more ads down here. I can't just take on an infinite number of ads and be okay, right? And if I get myself into a bad situation, there's really not too much I can do. I'm going to get taken down. So now let's run this back with the build that I want to show you. Let's take a look at how that performs. Alright, so I now have respawned, and we're going to go back and take a look at the same 2 scenarios and show you exactly what I mean. If you take a look at my armor bar, I'm going to keep it a surprise, I'm not going to show you, but you can see it's way lower. And I'll tell you that I have 1 blue roll on this build, 1 armor core, as opposed to 3 on the previous build. And let's take a look at what my survivability is looking like compared to that last run. Wherever that Hunter is over here, and there he is. I'm going to pop this. Well, it got EMP'd, but still, take a look at this. After he throws a nade, that's really not what you should be doing. Just shoot me. Oh, look at that. Several sniper shots with 1 blue. It's got to actually hit some. I'd say that's pretty impressive, right? Alright, so that's cool enough. That's a Hunter, right? Hunters are always going to be difficult. Let's take a look at what it looks like back in this exact same room that I was just in. So again, I had 3 blues before. I had decent survivability, but I was still kind of getting messed up because that's what happens when you go into an 8-player experience by yourself. But now I have 1 blue, and let's take a look at how we do against some of these ads, both in terms of damage and survivability. The first one's already going to run away. Seeming like decent damage. Oh, and look at that. All these guys are shooting me. Where's the damage, folks? Where is the damage I'm supposed to be taking? And I'm taking these guys out by myself, which of course is doable on a lot of different builds. But this level of survivability with 1 blue, you're probably wondering exactly how I'm pulling this off, and that is exactly what I want to highlight for this video. Now in the thumbnail, when I say that this is probably going to get nerfed, I don't know if they actually have the resources and time to go and do that immediately, but I have to imagine that this was not the intended experience for Countdown, because this changes the game as far as what you are allowed to do, on your own comfortably in this new mode. And so I think you get the idea. I'm going to go back to the base now and give you a rundown of what exactly this build consists of. All right, I've made you wait long enough. Let's take a look at the actual build itself. Now, there's one thing I want to highlight here that is making this build so very strong, and as I try and like to do with a lot of my builds, I don't want to shoehorn you in too much. There's a lot of ways you could go about making this type of build, but the one thing that really makes it, as far as the survivability and how many armor cores I need to run, is protection from elites. On this build, I have 5 different protection from elites mods, as you can see on those 5 pieces, and I'm running the survivalist specialization, which gives me 10% more, and in total, that is granting me 70% protection from elites. And the reason why this is so good for Countdown is because it's an 8-player experience, because it's like this mini raid. The vast majority of NPCs in there are elites. I want to say, I don't know, 80% are elites. Sure, you run into some reds and some veterans, but because you're going to have so much damage, you can take them out very quickly, and there's not that many of them. The vast majority, especially the extraction, are elites, and it just makes it so much of an easier experience because you're taking so much less damage. And so really, that's the secret. You know, like I said, I have 1 blue in the form of the Memento, but you could also run that anywhere else. You could even try it with no blues, but, you know, the point is, make it protection from elite setup, run whatever stuff you want to get the most damage out of it, and you're kind of golden. I will now, of course, run you through the version that I'm using, because I think this is very good, and it gets you a lot of damage, kind of, you know, just backs up the whole protection from elites bonuses that you get yourself. But if you have not considered or have not tried protection from elites yourself yet in the new Countdown game mode for The Division 2, you absolutely want to give it a go. Like I said, don't know if it's going to be something that the devs take a look at or nerf in the future, but for now, it really changes the experience in like drastic ways. And I'm, you know, not overselling that in any way, shape, or form. But let's get into this actual setup that I run, starting with my weapon, the Apartment SMG. There's a lot of different SMGs you could run. I'm a fan of the MPX. I'm a fan of the Measured Talent, and so this seemed like a good fit to me, and it does very well. Of course, I just have damage to targets out of cover on there, crit chance, crit damage mod, and an extended mag. Your secondary, I highly recommend the Scorpio. Obviously, this is an insane exotic, as I think a lot of people know, and especially against the hunters in Countdown, this is a fantastic way to lock them down, allow you and your team to get that damage in and kill them before they heal. So I certainly recommend this, but of course you can try out whatever you would like there. For my pistol, I just have the Orbit, like on most of my builds. And then let's get into the gear. I have 1 piece of Grupo Sombra, giving me 15% crit damage for the brand bonus. And then I have weapon damage, crit chance, and of course that protection from elites mod, as I said previously. For my chest piece, I have 1 piece of Sokolov, which of course is giving me the 10% SMG damage. I then have crit chance, crit damage, a protection from elites mod again, of course, and the Obliterate talent. Now there's a lot of different talents you could run here. If you want more survivability, you could run Unbreakable, you could run, I don't know, you could try Glass Cannon, you know, Obliterate is what I chose. Also, if you have somebody on your team that is running Tardigrade or some sort of thing that's going to give you a lot of bonus armor, you know, because the Memento gives you some, but because you only have 1 blue, it's not that much. If you run Intimidate, you get a lot of damage. A lot of damage. My friend was running that, and it's crazy. So the talent is interchangeable depending on how you want to set it up and what type of, you know, things your team might be running when you head into Countdown, but just know that there's a lot of options there. For the holster, I of course have an improvised holster to give me another mod slot, and that of course is another protection from elites, and then I just have weapon damage, and crit chance. Moving on to the backpack, of course we have the Memento Exotic, which is just insane all around. I think, as everybody knows at this point, you have all 3 of the core attributes, and I of course have a protection from elites mod, and yeah, this just helps sustain the type of solo focused mindset that this build allows you to take on in Countdown, so I don't think I need to explain that too much. The Memento is the way to go there. For the gloves, I of course have another improvised piece, which has protection from elites for the mod, weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage. And if you don't know, if you're perhaps new to the game and you don't know about these improvised pieces, you can craft them at the crafting station. They come without a brand, and because of that, you get an extra mod slot, which is usually not available in the gloves, knee pads, and holsters, gear piece slot. And then last up, I of course have the Fox's Prayers, which are, some of the best damage pieces in the game, this and the Contractor's Gloves, and so on. Here I just have weapon damage to targets out of cover, and crit damage. Then moving on to I guess I should show you the overall breakdown of this. With that stuff, I have 58.7% crit chance, 123% crit damage. Considering all of my mod slots are occupied by protection from elites bonuses, I would say that's pretty solid, and as you can, as you saw in the gameplay, it translates to a lot of great damage, which of course, when you try it out for yourself, you're going to feel just how much you can really do. Considering how tanky you are, it's pretty crazy, because I do, of course, have 6 reds. I'll go over the skills quickly. I just have a Defender drone, which I think is a really great option for this type of thing. Hopefully, kind of makes sense there. You're going to deflect more bullets, be more, have more survivability, which you already have a lot of, but this just helps even more by reducing that damage by 26.4%, as you can see there. I just have a health mod damage reduction mod, and a deflect duration mod. And then I have a revive 5 because, of course, that's nice to have in Countdown, not only for yourself, but for your teammates if they go down, especially at the extraction portion. And it's just a nice... I always like to have one if I'm going to be running some sort of run and gun type of build, so I will let you figure out what you want to run in that slot. And that's about it, guys. Of course, I said I'm running the Survivalist Specialization for the Protection from Elites bonus. Make sure you have SMG damage selected on there, or whatever primary weapon you choose to use. I still want to make an AR variant of this build, but I'm waiting to kind of have the right idea and the right pieces to slot in for that. But yeah, I think this is a really insane setup. And Protection from Elites, I don't know if it was overlooked as far as Countdown's design for putting in so many elites in there, but I think a lot more people should start running it, or at least look into it, because I think it really does provide you with some unparalleled bonuses that other builds really cannot offer you for this new game mode experience in the Division 2. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on to be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts on this build that I have constructed for the new Countdown experience in the game. Do you think that Protection from Elites is as worthy as I'm kind of hyping up to be? Do you think maybe it's not as good as some other builds that you've come across? Certainly let me know if you have any of those. And do you think we could be headed towards the future where Protection from Elites gets nerfed, or at least changed in some capacity to, you know, not just trivialize the Countdown experience? Again, it doesn't trivialize it. You still have to engage and do the stuff, but it's just crazy because the survivability, like I showed you earlier with 3 blues with no Protection from Elites, is far different than 1 blue and all of them, and you still have that much damage. So I just think it's going to open the door to a lot of things that Massive probably was not intending with this new mode, and I'll be very curious to see their response if this ends up becoming popular in any way. But that's enough talk for me. I'm very curious to see what you guys think about this build, so certainly let me know down below, and that is going to do it for me today, everybody. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.